peace, and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. All rise and stand and remain standing. This is a sovereign, living, ancient Article 3, Moorish American Al-Moroccan court action. I am sovereign, living justice, Pauline Denise, Lawhorn, Emmanuel, Richie Moore, in capitis, diminutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. My free chosen national appellation is like evvery, in capitis, diminutio, nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. I and all Moors are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural, divine, ancient empire state of Morocco, and the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government, the Moorish American consulate, and the Moorish American consular court. We are one God. We hereby exercise all sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, not so stop. So today, we know that all Masonic language and everything that has to do with Masonry started with us, and then we taught it to our subjects, and then we said we're going to go to sleep, and then when we wake up, you will know that we have returned by our language, by what we say and what we do. When we return, we told our subjects this. We said, when we return, the first thing we're going to do is clear all debt and death off of the land. That's the first thing we were going to do, is stand up and be who we are and then clear the debt. And then we said that we were going to look around on the vast estate and see what else needed to be done. And then also listen to the subjects so that we see where they are and where, what's going on, what the status of everything is on the land. And then we would give out commands in order to remedy and solve what needs to be fixed. We'll fix whatever needs to be fixed. And do a reversion of the state and revert the estate right back to us. So in this grand rising, the subjects have been sending out, they've been using Masonic language in order to convey to one another earth-wide where we are in the grand rising. So we're going to point some of that language out. It's going to be very clear what they're doing and why they're doing it and what it means. It's all good news for us, okay? And this is the same thing that they were going for back when our prophet Noble Drew Ali was here in the 1920s. They were, they had the whole Spanish flu thing going on, and they did a whole theatrical, and I'm not saying that what they're doing is not real to a degree, but this is what they know to do whenever we start waking up and giving out commands and returning the estate into the rightful control. So one of the things that they've been using in order to convey Masonic messages earthwide to all Masons, to all those that, they've been saying are the Illuminati and all of those. We don't deal in conspiracy theories. We deal strictly with the law and with the things that go on with our vast estate, with our ancient science and our ancient knowledge. And so when they first started this whole coronavirus thing, and I'm going to call it coronavirus in red and all lowercase letters, because when it first started, it started a couple of weeks after we made the announcement, earth-wide announcement, that we were putting the gold standard. We were reactivating the gold standard for us. And again, the gold standard never went anywhere. We just needed to use it. And so we made the announcement in August and September of 2019. We announced the gold standard, and all of this is on the public record. It's on, YouTube, and, those videos are out there. You can see them. In August 2019, we announced that we were reactivating the gold standard for our empire, for our nation, and the empire. And then in September, we said we were going to, we put 666 trillion in gold on the public record, just to let everyone know we know who we are. And so 2 weeks after that was when they made the first announcement on the news that there was something going on, and there was some coronavirus going on, and they're seeing signs of some coronavirus, etc. And from that point, they announced first that there was an alpha variant, or some small alpha variant that they're seeing. That's what they called it, alpha variant. And then, as you can see, over time, they have given it different names and different, And so the second to the most recent one that they gave a name to was Delta variant. And all they're doing, again, where we're concerned, now what they're doing in their corporation is, we've already dealt with that. Right now what we're talking about is what all of this means for us. So they announced the Delta variant. So what we have done is we've looked back in our history. We've also looked back into the words that are being used so that we recognize our own Masonic language as well. So they announced the Delta variant. So what we did was we went into the dictionary and we looked that up and we did some research on that. And then we went and looked up Omikron, which is the latest one that they're saying. And so I wanted to point a few things out to you to let you know that everyone on this earth knows exactly what's going on with the Moors. They are watching what we do, and they make an announcement every time we switch gears and rise a little higher and hit a certain degree, because, this grand rising is simply us going up by degrees, in our demonstration. So they started with the Delta variant. Okay. So let's look up the word Delta. We looked it up. And that word in Latin is Delta. It is now listen to me more, because we've talked about this before, and some people still don't quite understand that Latin and Greek and Hebrew and Phoenician and ancient English, because the spellings are different, ancient English are all the same, essentially, languages, okay? The words can be directly connected to each other by way of the root word. Either the root word or the spelling will be very similar. So if you look here on the screen at the word Delta, it is Delta as we know it. It's also Delta in Latin. It's Delta in Greek. And in Hebrew, it's Dalet. It is the fourth letter of the alphabet. Now, this says the fourth letter of the alphabet. It doesn't even matter which alphabet you're talking about. It's the fourth letter in all of them, because they're all essentially the same. So when you're talking about ancient English and etymology, you're still talking about ancient languages, period. Because we're looking at root words and spellings. So Delta means door. And what is the sign for a delta, or what are some of the other things that delta brings to mind? It's a triangular shape or pyramid shape, tract of alluvial land at the mouth of a river, as the delta of the Nile or of the Mississippi. And they know in this is an older dictionary. This is an 1868 unabridged Webster dictionary definition. And they know that the Nile and the Mississippi are the same, so you can call it either the Nile or you can call it the Mississippi, either one. And the word delta here is in all lowercase letters, okay? So when you look, and their photo here of a delta is very similar to an upside-down tree of life, okay? So if you were to turn this photo upside down, just one moment, it would look like the tree of life. Just one moment, let me raise that up a little bit. Okay. That's by design. That is not a, that's not a mistake. And yes. Justice Malik, can you all hear? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So now, what are they saying here? So we looked at delta, the symbol. We know it means door. Delta in uppercase means it's a triangle or a pyramid. And in lowercase, it looks like the symbol for, it's very similar to the symbol for subsection or a section of, a piece of, okay? So sometimes when we're looking at articles, we'll say Article 3, subsection 4. And it looks very similar to that, but not quite like it, okay? Fourth letter of the Greek alphabet, in the Greek numeral system, it has the value of 4. And where we are right now is considered the fourth turning. What is the fourth turning? There were several different times when we went through this same type of a growth spurt. That's really what this is us moving through the ages. And one of those times, some people call it dispensation, other people call them the ages. We just left the Piscean era, and we're now in the age of Aquarius, or the Aquarian era. And so the fourth turning is yet another way to say a new era, okay? Originally, the letter delta derived from deleth, which is the Phoenician letter. And again, Phoenician and Greek and ancient English and Latin are so connected. Why? Because we are all of them. And we kept our languages the same for the most part. As we traveled, sometimes letters were transposed in the wording. Deleth, if you transpose those letters, it will come out to delta with an H on the end. So we're the Phoenicians, we're the Greeks, we're the ancient English people, we're the ancient Latin. All of those languages are ours, okay? So we're the ancient Hebrews, the we're ancient Israel, we're all of that. We're the original indigenous of all of those people groups, nations, and governments. So at the beginning, the letter D was drawn in hieroglyphics as a gate or a door, okay? And the capital letter looked alike as the Phoenicians, because Greeks and Phoenicians, that's the Moors. We kept our languages and our hieroglyphs and all of that same, okay, for the most part. And that's why we're being called to look at these things, because as more of our information comes out, some of it is going to be written in what looks like ancient English, but it will really be Phoenician, or it will look like ancient English, but it will be Greek. So it just depends on what you're looking at and the translation of it. Okay. Now, I brought up gate or door because throughout history, okay, throughout her story, the word gate means government. This is the North Gate. We are the North government. That's all Moors. And in ancient Phoenicia and ancient Rome and ancient Assyria and in all of the ancient cultures of ours, whenever we wanted to have a meeting of our legislature, we would meet at the gate, which would be the government building. So the ecclesia, which is the legislature, would meet at the gate of the city, and we would have a meeting, and then we would go back, each one of us, to our different provinces and territories and lands and tell the people, this is what the legislature said or did based on what you want. Okay? So gate means government. Door means court. Door means court. And you cannot have government without a court. And you can't have a court without government. You have to have both. Because one and the other, one carries out the will of the other. And the other enforces the will of the law. Okay? So now let's look at, again, gates and doors means government and court. You can't have one without the other. Number two, the shape of the delta is a pyramid or a triangle, which is a three-sided angle. And as you know, sacred geometry is all about angles and sides and circles. Tri is a judicial term, as in to try a case. The three most vital parts of our ancient body have connected. So the executive, legislative, and judicial of our empire has connected. Those three parts of our body have come together. Okay? They're in different parts and in different manifestations all over our land, but they have all three come together as they should. There are more who are working on the executive part of our empire. There are more who are working on the legislative part, and there are more who are working on the judicial, and we're all working together. We're all on the same land. The spirit and the energy from the people, the Article 3 court, and the gold-backed lifeblood of all movements at this dimension have joined and are moving together. So then I also looked up the Phoenician letter, which is Dalet or Dalet. Okay, delta and Dalet or Dalet are the same. What does that mean? I pulled up Wikipedia just to see what came up, because when I put this in on the internet, this is one of the things that came up, one of many. So I just pulled it and looked at it, and of course there are some things that are applicable. And again, we're bringing this up as a reference point for the Masonic language that's being used to talk about where the Moors are in the grand thing, because that's what all of this is about. So the Dalet in the Hindu caste system means untouchable. Okay? Now, when we have our own courts and the state, the Empire State of Morocco, working hand in hand, we are untouchable. Why is that? It's because our courts are the original jurisdiction. And when you're looking at judicial terms, original jurisdiction means that if there's anything going on with the Moors, no other court can override or overrule original jurisdiction, period. Okay? Original jurisdiction is the supreme jurisdiction for us. It is the Article 3 jurisdiction, and that does make us untouchable by foreign state corporate courts when we do our study and our demonstration. And then we remain active in doing what we do. That is why the word untouchable comes up where Delta is concerned. And again, they're just watching the rise of the Moors. Okay, they're watching how we are growing and studying and putting things out there and doing our demonstrations and connecting with one another. And they say, okay, we see another variant here. In other words, these Moors over here are doing court action. So let's just watch that for a while and see how that looks, what that looks like. Okay, well, that means they're at the door. They're at the door. So we'll expand on that a little bit too, some of the other ancient writings and texts and what that means. So here, the left, including Phoenician, the let looks like that. Hebrew, it's the let. Aramaic, it's the last. Syriac, it's the lat. Arabic, it's diall. Okay? So, and again, all of these languages are our languages, and that is why when we talk about ancient English, all we're doing is combining all of these languages together and saying we can spell it however we want to spell it. It's going to be similar because the root word is still going to be there, which keeps the etymology in check. It keeps the etymology intact. And then we put whatever prefixes and suffixes on the word according to what we're saying. And it makes things, because common English is not adequate for the complexity of our Moorish national expression. It's not adequate. Common English and corporate English they're not adequate for us. We have to coin terms and words as we go, just like our ancient Phoenician foremothers and forefathers. And that's why we use ancient English like we do. Okay. So now there are, and here, the Phoenician letter gave rise to the Greek delta, the Latin D, and the Cyrillic letter A. And it looks like an A, but it's actually a door. Okay? And then here's the hieroglyph depicting a door. So when we know that all of the languages and the words are this closely related, okay, when we know that everything is that closely related, we can now look at a hieroglyph, and whenever we see this symbol here, we will know that means door or court or government in the hieroglyph. It's going to be one or the other based on the context of the hieroglyph. So not only are we learning other languages all at once, we're also learning to read hieroglyphs. So we're returning back to the ways of our foremothers and forefathers as we speak, all at once. Okay? So now, there are scriptures about a door in the Holy Quran and the Holy Sibyl, which some call the Holy Bible. I wanted us to take a look at them because it's going to, again, explain and better illustrate what they're saying when they say, we have the Delta variant here. We don't know how long that variant is going to go on before it moves to another variant, before it mutates. Okay, let's talk about that. Chapter 12, verse 23 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, as divinely prepared by the noble prophet Diall in 1926, reads as follows. that in the heart the richest gems abound, that he who wills may open the door and find them all. Doors are a great thing. Whenever you hear the word delta, think door, gem, access to the estate. Just keep that in mind. Chapter 18, verse 8 is a court action illustrating the power of a government seal upon the door in order to protect the body. Okay, so chapter 18, verse 8 of the Holy Quran, that whole chapter is all about, it's a court action. It's courts going between each other. When you start looking at what actually was happening and the marching that was going on, verse 8 says, they came up to the tomb and marched and counter-marched before the door. And then further down in that chapter, it talks about them putting a seal on the door. Okay? So marching and counter-marching, when you look up the word march, you will see that the word march is actually a form of rebuttal. That's why people march in order to protest, because it's a form of rebuttal. Okay, we don't march to protest generally. Why? Because we rebut by affidavit. We speak by affidavit. So we leave the marching to the citizens and the subjects. Okay? So a counter march. A counter march is someone made some statements, and then there was a rebuttal. And in chapter 18, you'll see, once that rebuttal was made, a new seal was put on the door. And that protected the body and kept others from going in and getting it. It protected the body. So again, those are court and government moves. When you talk about doors, delta, and gates. Chapter 19, verse 6. The door unto the banquet hall was in the east. A vacant chair was at the table to the east. And as a note, for the record, the said chair is no longer vacant. We are seated at the table and have begun partaking of the banquet and all of its offerings, Islam. That verse 6 is talking about the vacant seat that was left when it was stated that we abandoned our vast estate, but we did not. And all of the other nations have been waiting for us to come to the banquet and eat with them. It isn't all you can eat. You can have as much as you want. Sit and eat with our brothers and sisters, nations and governments. That's what that verse is about, and that is what we are doing now that at the North Gate. Okay? So again, think delta variant, door, gate, government, gyms, banquet. All they're doing is announcing where we are and what we're doing. That's what's happening right now. Okay, chapter 41. Let's not forget. Chapter 38, verse 17. It says, the lips of the wise are as the doors of a cabinet. No sooner are they opened, but treasures are poured out before thee. What is that scripture, that verse talking about in the Holy Quran? It's talking about court actions that give us back our property and land, and if we haven't lost it, it just gives us control of it and access to it. Okay? So the lips of the wise are as the doors of a cabinet. No sooner are they opened, but treasures are poured out before thee. And of course it means other things, such as speaking positively over one another. Of course, it means sending positive energy to one another all day, every day, and not allowing anyone else to dump garbage in our ears about our brothers and sisters. And as soon as someone tries that, we say, rebuttal, hold up, we rebut that. We rebut the energy. We're not rejecting anyone, but we are rebutting the energy that comes with anyone putting negativity in our ears about our brothers and sisters. Chapter 41, Holy Instructions from the Prophet on Inconstancy, verse 9 through 11. This I love. Establish unto thyself principles of action, and see that thou ever act according to them. So shall thy passions have no rule over thee. So shall thy constancy ensure unto thee the good thou possessest, and drive from thy door misfortune. Anxiety and disappointment shall be strangers to thy gate. Suspect not evil in anyone till thou seest it. When thou seest it, forget it not. What is that saying? Again, it's talking about doors. It's talking about the doors to our government, the gates and the court. So verse 9 is talking about court action. Establish unto thyself principles of action, court action. And the reason we say that, our prophet talked about active Moors instead of passive Moors. Well, what did we think he wanted us to do? Get on a treadmill and run? No. He wanted us to enforce the Constitution. How do we do that? Through our courts. For many years, action for some meant praying 5 times a day on a carpet. Well, today it may mean that for some, but from our perspective, from the perspective of the law, let's leave our personal perspective out and put it and bring up the law. The law is what we should be enforcing. That happens by consular venue, consular court. Our empire state of Morocco, the will of the people of the empire comes through our courts. And who are the courts? The people. That's how we put our will forth, is we say, okay, we're the court, this is our will, and this is what we're doing. Establish unto thyself principles of action, and see that thou ever act according to them. So shall thy passions have no rule over thee. Again, justices we don't bring emotions and feelings and beliefs to our court. Just bring the law. The law and some thinking, like our prophet said, if I can just get you to think, you'll free yourself. So, with regard to passions ruling over us, fasting is a good way to help with that. If you're more who gets angry really easy, and some have that going on, it's okay. But it's okay because we have to do something about it. Whatever it is that's bothering you, a good 3-day fast, water only, lots and lots and lots of water, and meditation, and whatever else you're led to do. Okay, because those are things we suggest, but you go within and go with your spirit and see what your spirit says about the best ways to deal with passion. Because we are passionate about everything that has to do with us, and we should be. But it cannot rule when it comes to governing. We cannot govern by our feelings. Okay? And yes, we love our brothers and sisters, but we actually have to set that aside. If we really love our brothers and sisters, we will set the feelings aside and use the law to gain freedom and possession, etc. It says, so shall thy passions have no rule over thee, because nothing is actually supposed to rule over the Moors, not even ourselves, not even our passions, rather. Our feelings cannot rule us. We must rule them. so shall thy constancy ensure unto thee the good thou possessest, and drive from thy door misfortune. During this sleeping time, have we not seen misfortune? Have we not seen anxiety and disappointment? Have we not seen that? Have we not felt those things? But it's through our courts and our government, the door, that remedy comes for those things. We're seeing it happen day in and day out. Watch the Capitol's video. It shows in that video remedies because of our court. It says, suspect not evil in anyone until thou seest it. And when thou seest it, forget it not. And I'll say this about that. Everyone gets a clean slate every day as far as I'm concerned. We can never close the door on our brothers and sisters, no matter what they say, no matter what they do. We must keep the door open. Why? Because their bloodline does not change, and neither does ours. We're always going to be one still. And that is, you know, we're coming out of having separated because of differences in thinking. Okay, so if you're a more, and more or more subject ipso jure, we love you, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts at the end of that. And everyone on earth is either a more or a more subject ipso jure. So that encompasses everyone. We love everyone, and everyone is being called to stand and be who they really are, more subjects ipso jure included. Okay? So everyone gets a clean slate. It says, when thou seest, forget it not. We're not stupid. We don't forget. However, we don't dwell on it. It doesn't change our energy. We still keep focused on nation building, and we don't reject anyone. Okay? We're not rejecting anyone. To include the subjects who come in here and cut up a little bit, you know, we don't reject them either. We love them too. We love all Moors, period. That won't change. It won't change no matter what. Doesn't matter what's going on out there on social media. Doesn't matter. We are one. Get over that. You know, you just, and I'm borrowing from one of our teachers, get over it. We are one and we're going to be one, period. It's not going to change. Doesn't mean we're doormats, we're stupid and naive. It just means that we're one, and no matter what happens, we still have to keep the door open for one another. So in the biblioteliotext with regard to gates and government, we have been told a lot of childlike stories about the biblioteliotext. One of the childlike stories is the story of, quote-unquote, King David. And King David did this and that. He wrote the Psalms, and, you know, he's a hero and all of that. Okay, anthropomorphic, second-grade story. Okay? And for those who relate to that, we're not criticizing you. If that's how you understand it, great. Let's take that a little higher in terms of science. It is said that King David wrote the Psalms. However, when you look at the Psalms with your eye, the eye that can really see, David is short for affidavid. And the entire book of Psalms are affidavits by command and court action. Go back and read the Psalms and you will see those are commands. He talks about the court. Those are court actions all day, every day. Those are affidavits all day, every day. Some say they are songs, but They're actually court actions. That is how affidavits are written. But of course, they had to cover that part up. Anytime you see the word song in the bibliotext, it's someone speaking in court. It's not really someone singing and it's not that. That's the anthropomorphic. And that's okay. Because that's how we learned that stuff when we were back in, in our sleep in Christianity. But now that we can see that the Holy Sibyls wrote these books, the Holy Sibyls, they knew that our courts had to be active. So what does it say? Psalm 24, verse 7, lift up your heads. What is lift up your heads? Heads of state, CEOs. Because what did we do by court action? We decapitated all corporations. Corporations don't come from anyone's womb. We had to remove them from office, cut off the head of the snake. We had to do that. That had to be done. Because according to unum sanctum, you can't have two heads. There can only be one. And how is a head removed without war and violence? It's done by court action. And the court, and I'll say this, that whole court concept and precept, when the Moors when we forgot who we were momentarily, Hiram Abiff got hit on the head and forgot. They used state corporate courts to take things, supposedly. Didn't they? Still in some cases trying to do that today to some Moors. Eviction, taking okay, so they don't like when I talk about what they were doing previously. They don't like that. So and I don't like it either, actually, because it needed to stop anyway. In the energy, we know they're not real. All right, lift up your heads. Okay, heads of state. We had to decapitate anything pretending to be the head of state and do that ourselves, okay? Then it says, O ye gates, O ye governments. So this is saying, heads of state, stand and govern. It says, and be ye lifted up. Well, that's the only way you're going to be uplifting fallen humanity. Governing by court action and being in complete control and knowing who you are. It says, ye everlasting doors. Our courts are everlasting. They are into perpetuity. And when we do our court actions, that's what we say. Those are the commands we give. It says, and the King of glory shall come in. The only way that we would ever be able to uplift all of fallen humanity is government and court. Government, court, and also changing the energy that runs through everything, which in this case was fiat, but now it's gold back, more sovereign dollaria, and gold and silver, and land. Okay? Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Okay? So that is that's an affidavit. It's a command. It's saying, stand and govern. Lift up your heads, Moors. Stand in your sovereign status. Psalms 24:9 says the exact same thing. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, even lift up them up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Isaiah 22:22. It says, I will put the key to the house of David, which is a sign of authority. The key to the house of David is, again, an affidavit. It is the law. It's the word. In the beginning was the word. The word was with God, and the word was God. And again, this is all Muslim law. Don't get it twisted. This is all, we did all of this from the very beginning. I will put the key to the house of David, which is a sign of authority indicating access to authority, around his neck. It says, if he opens a door, no one will be able to close it. That's us. What doors we open, no one can close them. What doors we close, no one can open them. Okay, what doors we open, no one can close. What doors we close, no one can open. And that's by court action. It's by court action. That is what governing is. That's what gates and delta is. The Greeks knew that. That's why they used the term delta. But they got it from the Phoenicians, which is Phoenician Moors. And the Greek Moors used that term. So we were just passing the information on like we're doing today, back and forth to each other. That's what we were doing, period. So now they're saying, they have announced recently this, an Omicron variant. So the Moors have made it through the door. They've got their government and their courts active, okay? And again, our government is everlasting and eternal. It never stopped being activated. It just needed to be activated for this group of Moors who were asleep, okay? So they're saying, okay, Delta variant, now we're seeing another variation going on. We're going to call this variation Omicron. Omicron. I like that term, actually. And again, we're looking at this from the Moorish perspective, from the high sciences perspective. We're not looking at it from the perspective of any type of a virus or a disease. That's their jurisdiction. That's their jurisdiction. Our jurisdiction is to keep ourselves safe, however we choose to do that, and then to study, and demonstrate our sovereign status. Okay, so Omicron variant. Of course, we'll go to the dictionary first. Omicron. So Omicron, cron is a derivative, or it's actually the root word for chronos, which is at the bottom of all of our affidavits. We either put chronos or kairos. Chronos means time, okay, or a window of opportunity, okay. It's a noun. Omicron is a noun. In the Greek, it is pronounced omikron. And please look up what a micron is. It's a small cell, okay? And that has everything to do with the Morse too. We'll talk about that in a minute too. It is the 15th letter of the Greek alphabet, omikron, corresponding to O. And here on the screen, it specifically notes that it is a small o, or a lowercase o, or an o in capitis diminutio nolo. That's important, and they know it's important because it makes the meaning more applicable to that which is not corporate or capitalized. That's what the small o is for. So then I said, okay, let me look up an O in the dictionary and see, expand further on what's being said here when we're hearing about an Omicron variant. So, the 15th letter of the English alphabet, it's the 15th letter of the Greek alphabet and the Hebrew alphabet and all other alphabets too, for the most part. The 15th letter, it says from the Greek omega and omikron, short O, both borrowed from the Phoenicians. So I guess that means we're already speaking Phoenician, aren't we? Yes, we are. We've been speaking Phoenician the whole time. We have. We use Phoenician letters. We use Greek letters when we're writing our affidavits. We just had to call it that because that's what it really is instead of saying corporate English. And those same letters are Arabic as well. Because in the Arabic language, they use the same alphabet because it's the same. It comes from the same people, the Moors. So we've been multilingual the whole time, more of the ancient languages. The ancient languages. Okay? And that's why we don't have to spell it the way the corporate spell it. And we don't have to use black ink or dead ink. We can use monochrome ink. We can use red. We can use green, purple, etc. Okay? So we've been being ourselves. We just needed to acknowledge and recognize and see and know. Okay? So now, omega. Let's hang out there for just a moment. So what does the biblioteliotext say about omega? It says, I am the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. So it sounds to me like someone is saying that something's ending. Omega, Omicron variant, something's ending. Well, we know we don't end because we live forever. That which has a beginning has an end. That which does not have a beginning does not have an end. Time never was when we were not. If life of us at any time began, a time would come when it would end. The thoughts of Allah cannot be circumscribed. No finite mind can comprehend things infinite. All finite things are subject unto change. All finite things will cease to be because that was a time when they were not. Not us. We've been here. So what are they saying? Omicron variant, omega, it's the end, it's the end, it's the end. These are the end times. For whom? For what? Well, we know it's not for the Moors. This is just the beginning for us. So they're just telling other corporations, bring it on down. Bring it on down and let them have their resources. Give them, because that's their stuff. Okay? That's what's being said here. We got to pay attention. And we do, Morris, we do, because we're all activated. Our cells are activated. Okay? So now, I picked up a couple of things here. Number 4, a cipher. And we'll talk about what a cipher is shortly. Number 7, in physics, In physics, the symbol for Om. Well, what do we say when we're meditating? Om. That means peace. Just saying. That means peace has come. And what have we been saying the whole time? We've been saying love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And then here on the screen, let's make sure we can see. It says O, and then they put a little O here, and it says, let's see, let's look at the one at the top, O, an abbreviated form of letter A. It means of, as in o'clock or of the clock. So it's 9 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Okay, archaic or dialectic is on. Okay, of in lowercase letters means exactly what we say it means. It means from, or it means from something. Okay, or it's pointing to the 9 from the clock. In other words, that's what the clock is saying, 9 o'clock. And then here it says, O, descendant, a prefix of some Irish surname, meaning a descendant of, as in O'Reilly. And note that the word descendant is spelled with an A-N-T on the end. There is a difference between descendant and descendant. Okay? And that difference between descendant and descendant is the difference between a Moor and a Moorish subject ipso jure. One is a descendant and one is a descendant. We'll talk about that shortly. And then it says here, in chemistry, O means ortho. Ortho means straight or to straighten. It means some other things too. And we wrote some things down here, and we'll put it on the screen for you here shortly, what ortho means. And then down here at the bottom, let's look at in chemistry, it means oxygen. That's important. In chemistry, it means oxygen, that which we breathe, a natural substance or element. And then in mathematics, a medieval Roman numeral for 11 with a superior bar, it means 11,000. Okay, and we know 11 is one of our numbers as well. Okay, and again, keep in mind, Moors, we're still talking about Omicron variant. Down here at the bottom, way down here hidden, it looks so small that if you're not careful, you'll miss it, but it's the most important one as far as I'm concerned. O is an adjective that means one. Haven't we been saying we are one? Let me make that bigger on the screen so you can see down here at the bottom, because this is important. Way down there at the bottom. O, and it's a lowercase o, okay? And that matters. That they make the distinction when they start doing these definitions, because it makes a difference in the meaning, whether it's capitalized O or whether it's a lowercase o. We have talked about that previously. In capitis diminutio, nolo lettering is the natural meaning. Okay? the natural meaning. And then with a capital letter, it's something that the capitalist put there and said, this is what this means. And we can take that or leave it. Because we're the Phoenicians, we determine what it means for us. And O means one. We are one. What are they saying? Omikron, whole earth, everyone on earth, the Moors have become one. They've risen and they've become one. They brought everything together. They have all of the keys. So now what is it time to do? To minister the estate. That's our job. That's what the Masons are telling the earth about the Moors when they announce a variant. That's what it means for us. And that's why that whole thing didn't make sense at first. But when you look at it through the sciences and through the ancient meanings and the law and what's really going on, it's the Grand Rising. It's the Grand Rising. Definitely that. It is. And they are announcing to the whole earth that that's what's happening. So in looking at these definitions here, okay, number one, I put a few notes here. Omega is, and Omicron is the end for the United States Corporation Company, the dead one in dead ink, not the one in blue ink. Okay, the United States Corporation Company, Omega and Omicron is the end for the United States Corporation Company and all agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any and all derivatives thereof. Go in peace and do not return. Only lawful, peaceful, obedient subjects shall reside on the vast estate. Okay. Number two, we, the Empire State of Morocco, are eternal, and this is for the public record. We, the de jure Moorish National Republic Federal Government, are eternal. We, the Moorish American Consulate, are eternal. We, the Moorish American Consular Court, are eternal. We have no beginning and no end, for it is written, that which has no beginning has no end. That which has a beginning has an end. So we're putting these commands out here on the public record. This is a court action. And there's no further conflict on the land because they're saying the same thing we're saying. Number three, a cipher, because we looked at cipher up there. A cipher for Moors is ought or the all. Okay? A corporate cipher means nothing. And that's according to the dictionary. A cipher for the Moors is ought. So instead of saying zero, we say ought. Ought means all. Moors are the all. We are the all. Okay? And a corporate cipher means nothing. Number four, Om is a frequency meditation, and it means peace. So Om in frequency meditation is peace. What have we been saying? We're saying we're not at war with anyone. Okay? We're not at war with anyone. We are at peace with everyone. We're at peace with all. Okay. Number five, lowercase o can mean of, which in lowercase letters means from. In capital letters, of means without. Okay, so we are aware of that meaning as well. That's been a big deal for the Moors in terms of things called the United States of America. When it's written in all capital letters, it means the United States without America. But when it's in red in all lowercase letters, it means the United States from America. America comes from us. We are America. The United States is all the states of Moors together, in red in all lowercase letters. Okay. Number 6, descendant. Descendant with an A-N-T on the end, means proceeding from an ancestor to a certain degree. To a certain degree. Proceeding from an ancestor to a certain degree. To a certain degree means, it can mean that the ancestor cloned or went into a laboratory and put some things together and made a descendant. A descendant is a more subject ipso jure. Descendant with an E-N-T on the end means proceeding from the original. Okay, that's the difference. Descendants proceed from an ancestor to a certain degree. That means the ancestors we created them, the more subject ipso jure. We created them. And then there's us. We are the descendants, and we're actually now the ascendants. Ascendant, which means we ascend from our original ancestral state, because we are our ancestors returned. In chemistry, ortho means straight, such as orthotics and orthopedics. Those are sciences that assist in straightening limbs and bones and legs and etc. Okay. Ortho means upright. It means a combining form, meaning right angle. And we saw that in the meaning of O. And again, we're talking still omikron and omega. So this is what Omicron variant is for us. This is what it is for us, the straightening and putting things in order. In chemistry, in chemistry, ortho means straight, upright, a combining form, meaning right angle. It also means proper or correct. In healing science, ortho means correction of deformities. Okay? What are they saying? Omicron, the Moors have gotten it correct. They're doing things correctly. They're competent. That's what that means. And does that mean that we have to keep going? It means we keep going. We have demonstrations to do. We have an estate to govern, and all of that. Again, this is the grand rising, so things are going to keep going, changing. You know, we're going to keep growing. The vast estate is going to continue expanding and prospering and manifesting and all of that. In chemistry, O also means oxygen. O means one. We are one God. We are one people. We are one. Okay? So those are some things that we wanted to bring forth today. And then really quickly, I want to say this really quickly. Our focus is squarely on building our nation. And this is as we continue to move forth in doing what we're doing. Know this about those who are on the land. It is suggested that whenever you observe citizens, you know, those who were previously, you know, arguing over the vast estate and things, don't get involved in that stuff. Don't get involved in that. It's going away. It's already, most of that's gone already because there's nothing to argue over. We're here. So don't get involved in it. Let them do what they do. I had a situation about 2 weeks ago. No, it's been about a month now because I was going to get water at the well, at the artesian well here in our territory. And there were some More subjects ipso jure from our perspective, and we didn't do a court action on them, but we didn't have to. They know who they are. But there was an argument that kind of ensued. There was one trying to argue that the other one was taking too long at the water, and the other one was from, Russia or someplace like that, those territories. And they kept trying to bring us into that argument because we were next in line and we were not in a hurry. So we didn't mind what they were doing. They were getting lots of water as far as I was concerned. They may have had some medical issue or something. So we waited patiently. I was there with my assistant, and we were just talking. So we had plenty of time, not in a rush, didn't bother us. But there was someone behind us who was bothered by them taking so long. And again, both of them were subjects. And we're here, we're the Moors, we're just waiting and having our conversation. And they kept trying to draw us into this argument. Draw us in. Well, we know that if we had gotten drawn into that and policy enforcers came, then it would have been a whole nother story. Because we would have yielded to that, we would have gone down into a jurisdiction that doesn't have anything to do with us. Okay? And so we didn't say anything. We just continued talking among ourselves. Okay? And as it turns out, the one who was the antagonist ended up cutting in front of us, and in a demonstration of that the person was taking too long, they just bumped that person out of the way and got what they needed, and then left. So they weren't really concerned about doing the right thing or anything like that anyway. They just wanted to start an argument and get things going, So we were not drawn into that, and we're not going to be drawn into it. Because, see, think about this progression, because I'm watching this progression, and I recognize it, so it's not going to happen. During what they called the Civil War, the foreigners who came here were pretending like they were fighting with the foreigners that they left. And guess who got drawn into that? And then it went from being a quote-unquote Civil War to quote-unquote American Revolution. And all of a sudden, things are hypothecated, and everybody's confused about who the Americans are. But that's because we allowed ourselves to be drawn in to something that on our land, our concern and our focus is squarely on nation building. Because guess what? That other stuff is getting out of here. As we continue to build our nation, it cannot stand, period. No one can pretend to be us when we're being ourselves and being on the public record and all that. No one can do that. No one can pretend that they have a court over us when our courts are clearly active. No one can pretend that they don't know whose resources these are because we're governing our resources. Because, see, we know from history and herstory that whenever those corpses came onto the land and pretended like they were fighting among each other, their real target was the Moors. And if we get involved in that stuff, don't get involved. Because it is a distraction to keep us from building our nation. Now, for those Moorish subjects who are not a party to any of that corporate behavior, because all of that stuff is out of here, then your Moorish subjects, if so jure, are welcome to participate in listening to what's going on with the Moors, and then we all have to work together on the land to further the empire. Okay. Subjects don't govern anything, but we are working, all of us, along with the subjects to grow the vast estate. Okay? We're the government, period. There is no other. We do have subjects that we deal with on the land, but they know their place. And we know their place, and we know our place, because everyone has a vine and fig tree. Everyone has a vine and fig tree. And that's not a statement of being superior in any way. The Moors are Moorish subjects. So for them to say they're Moorish subjects, that's the truth. And some people will shorten that and say that they're Moors. Okay, that's in capitis diminutio minima. Because subjects write like they taught us to write. The first letter capitalized and the rest of the letters lowercase. So with that being said, our land is doing exactly what it needs to do in terms of everything that we have said in the past is manifesting, and it continues to manifest. We're watching it manifest, and those manifestations will become more public as we go. Okay? Are there any, just one moment. Let me see. I'm going to, just a moment. I'm going to open the floor. Just one moment. Let me just clear up just one or two things here. And then we will open the floor. Just one moment. Okay. Anything that we didn't get, we'll get this soon. If we miss it, we'll get it. Okay, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and *6, or any comments or anything you want to add to what we're saying. Islam, the floor is open. We yield the floor.
Hey, why?
Yes, we yield the floor. Go ahead, Justice Sharif. I believe you had your mic open, I believe.
Oh, that was a mistake, Empress.
Oh, okay. Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Islam, nobility.
Yes, there was a movie in 1963 about Omikron, and it's all about this alien takes over a man's body to find out how humans interact so they could take over and all of this and that, but
wow.
When you said that, I was like, wait a minute, there was a movie about that. Yeah. That's the same thing they're trying to do now.
Yeah.
Islam.
Thank you, nobility. Hollywood has been, any movie that they ever made was about the Moors.
Yes.
In one form or another. Every movie they made was about the Moors. Period. So I'm going to have to look that one up, Justice Theodore, and watch it, because this has all been about, again, trying to take possession. And it's a spiritual thing, I'll tell you that. This is spiritual, and as well as it is, in this dimension, okay? Because it has been a situation of trying to take possession of, first, our minds, okay? By way of misinformation, propaganda, bad animal education, animal husbandry, bottomry instruments, the whole nine. All of that was to take possession, as it were. However, that didn't work. We're still here. And I'll say this, Moors. the less interaction you have with courts and corporations in their, you know, trying to be in their system and all of that, the better, because they cast a lot of spells on the Moors that want to stay in that system and want to stay black. They cast a lot of spells on them. I've seen that. We got to do court actions and terminate corporate contracts, lien that stuff, and then become the fiduciary, put our fiduciary documents on the public record for the Empire State of Morocco, because it's just, you know, I'm seeing that they cast spells in that death jurisdiction, that lost at sea jurisdiction, because that's what that dead ink is. It's lost at sea. Well, they are what you call a sea monster, and sea being the letter C in all capital letters, sea monster, as in corporation, court, etc. Seriously, that's you don't want to mess around in that jurisdiction. You want to come out of it and then tell them what to do. Okay. So
Islam, sister, like
with that, yes, Islam nobility.
I want to let you know something. I have a sister, my biological sister, and I thought she was amazing in the Air Force. I know you was in the Air Force. And I told her I got a free conference call. Come to find out, not only is she amazing, now she turned into a colonel. And I'm telling her about General Hand, you know, the guy that for the Republic, yeah. And you know the Gerald Ford, the aircraft, because I'm Navy, so you know about that our aircraft carrier, the most biggest, powerful, and named after George Ford. He never see it. He died. The President Ford, named after him. And so I was interested because I was telling him, you know, all right, now I got to take care of you. Miss, I thought she was a major. I just found out the night she was colonel. That's higher than a major, I found out. I didn't know.
You know, and that's great. But listen here, this is the thing. The Moors that are in the military, we honor you too. I used to be in the Air Force. We honor the Moors who are working and doing what they can to feed their families and learning. There's a little bit of feedback, Justice Frank, so I'm going to mute that just for just a moment. We honor anyone who's working and doing the things that they need to do in order to feed their families and to learn their skills and all of that, because all of the skills that we're bringing to our nation, we learned them in the corporate setting. So we're not even mad at the corporate setting, okay? There's a place for everything, and it's all for the furtherance of the vast state, all for the expansion of the empire, the Moorish empire, okay? So the reason that we learned all of the things that we learned in the corporate setting is because we were going to have to use it to stand and govern, okay? So we congratulate her, we honor her, and we honor all of the Moors who are in the military. We honor all of the Moors who are working every day. We honor all Moors, okay? No matter what you're doing or not doing, we honor you, because everyone has something to bring to the table. She has some skill set, Justice Frank, that can be brought to the table that will help propel the empire forward. We all do. We all do. No matter what we did previously, we're being called now to come together right now and bring our skills, come with something to the table, which is whatever it is that you learned in that corporate arena, or whatever you learned in your studies. You know, not everyone went into the corporate arena. Some stayed home. Okay, you learned some skills there that are necessary in the governing of the vast estate. And I'm telling you, 2022 is calling for everybody to all hands on deck seriously. Definitely. So those skills need to be brought to the table. Bring them to the table. Yes, we're going to continue, again, gleaning and, you know, doing our court actions because that's how we move. That is how we move forth. And then taking the skills that we learned and putting them to use. And not only that, the skills that we learned when we were asleep are the jump-off point for a very quick up vertical trajectory for the empire, the vast estate. Again, this vast estate belongs to all of us, so it is all of our responsibility to bring our skills to the table and be prepared to use them at the drop of a hat, really.
Islam.
On notice. Yes, Islam.
A copy of the demonstration that I did. I paid my property management, my rent for the next 11 months with the Delorium, and I was just wondering if you could read it because at the time I sent it, I wasn't actually thinking that I was sending you JPEGs, you know. I really wanted to send you a document, something that you could open up. However, I posted it on Facebook. It's on Northwest Maximum Public Notice, and I sent it to a few people. And I was just wondering if you had gotten it. I gave it to them on the 19th. They haven't said anything. They haven't returned it.
Okay.
So today, you know, it's like the 8th or 9th day. So, and I prepared other documents. I'm doing something similar to what you did with what you and the other empress did with the court action about the ticket. Yeah.
Yeah. So we encourage the Moors to pair up with other Moors to do that. Pair up with other Moors.
I've been in contact with the other Moors, Al Bay, and he said he was like passing the Delorium out, but it wasn't full blown. You know, in other words, thick, thumbprinted, signed, and putting it into the system. And he said, well, he's going to wait until the dollar crashes. I said, well, we got to march the dollar up out of here. Give it to him. Pay your bills with it. Put it out there, you know. So he said he would. So, but, you know, and so he's like the only one that I actually stay in contact with for the most part, you know. However, he is his own justice, you know. And, you know, it's not on me to force anybody, you know, but I do stay in contact with him. I sent him some Delorium. He hasn't sent anything back. I mean, of course, you know, we're not broke, you know. We have much. So I'm just doing a check-in, and I was just wondering if you had actually noticed the document, the demonstration that I had sent you. Islam, I yield.
Aside from when you and I spoke and I sent you some response back, I haven't seen anything after that. Because remember, about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, you and I corresponded back and forth. And I sent you back what it is that you were requesting at that time.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just text you this. I'll send you another one. Islam.
Okay, and again, I would encourage you, because my emails come so quickly, I would encourage you to pair with a Moor in your territory, and so that you can so that you all can get things going back and forth. Because, you know, it's important for all Moors to do that, and we can't all just look to one place for that to get done. We must connect with other Moors in our territory and other Moors in our nation. We must. That's a must. We have to do that.
Yes,
okay, so I would encourage you to get with some of the other Moors and work with them. Work with them. It's incumbent upon us to do that, nobility. I mean, it's easy to look in the direction of light, of, you know, light to Jerry Bay, but We've done the demonstration for you. Now it's up to you to get with some other Moors and do it. That's what this is all about.
Islam, Empress.
I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to work with the brother, but I'm just kind of radical, I'm a hands-on person. I get with it, right? I did the demonstration. I gave it to them. They haven't rebutted. I got other ones for other business that I do business with. And,
were you expecting them to rebut it? Were you? That's my question. Were you expecting them to say anything back?
No, I know I'm not. As long as they don't, it's kind of like the court sometimes. They don't necessarily tell you when you're right all the time, straight off the bat.
Well, wait a minute. Are you waiting for their validation?
Oh no, I'm not. No, that's not what I'm waiting on. No.
Okay.
All I'm saying is I'm going forward. I'm steady, doing this, passing it out, and the brother that I'm trying to work with, we just in different places, obviously, in between our ears.
Hold on for just a minute. Justice Theodore, were you about to volunteer to assist him? Because I heard you come in, Justice Theodore.
Sure, okay. Yes, I will. I'm in a similar situation right now, and I sent documents to the fake court, and they still issued a eviction notice, but I'm just going to read them their rights when they come here tomorrow.
Well, so, you're not giving them permission to come, are you?
I'm looking for your affidavit right now, brother.
Okay. So listen to me. Listen carefully, Moore. Listen to me carefully. Number one, they're not talking to you. They're talking to their court.
Islam.
Okay, that's number one. But listen to me now, because I'm hearing in your language, Justice Akil, and I just heard it from Justice Theodore. It sounds like Justice Theodore, you just said. Now we have to remember that we got to correct our language, and this is not a deal breaker. I just want to point this out. Justice Theodore, you said, I'm just going to read them back when they come tomorrow. You just gave them permission to come. Don't give them permission to come because they're not talking to you. You have already put your affidavit out on the public record, okay? You've already notified them. Did you do a court action? Justice Theodore, was your document sent as a court action?
Islam.
Okay. So now, in your language, and when you're doing these court actions, Justice Akil and Justice Theodore, when you're doing these court actions, know that they're not talking to you. And then we've been pointing this out repeatedly. What comes out of your mouth determines what happens with your demonstrations, okay? So know in your intention that they're not talking to you. And then you have to speak like we did in the case closed video. In the case closed video, Justice Akil, if they have not rebutted it, that's part of due process. If they don't rebut it, then they have no. They're saying they have no standing.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Islam, Empress.
But wait a minute, let me finish. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Let me harp on that for a minute. Let me stay right there.
Okay.
If they haven't said anything and they haven't rebutted, that means they know they don't have any standing. Okay? So you all have to know what these things mean when you see these things happen. Okay? You have to know that. Now, if I were both of you, and this is a suggestion, I would suggest that both of you can do it right now, because I do it all the time, or you can do it in writing on the public record on your social media pages tonight. Do a quick termination of all corporate contracts as a court action. You see the court action language on the screen. Do a court action and terminate all corporate contracts yet again on the public record. You can do that tonight. You can do that and put it on social media.
Islam.
Okay? So that you, okay, go ahead. No, go ahead, Justice Theodore. I didn't, but I want to make sure that we know what we're seeing based on what they're doing, because again, they're talking to their corpses. Okay.
Indeed.
Go ahead,
Indeed.
Nobility. Justice.
Maurice.
Hold on for a moment, sir. Hold on for a moment. Hold on,
Okay.
Justice Maury. Hold on. Justice Theodore was about to say something. Hold on. Go ahead, Justice
When I
Theodore.
say they're coming tomorrow, they're coming for that Nam de Gear corpse, and I'm going to tell him he's in Guantanamo Bay, you know, because you have no jurisdiction over it. I'm going to do a court action. I'll rise and stand first, read them their rights, put them in subject status. But I know they're going to try to think they have some kind of authority. I sent a letter to the provost.
You don't know that. Justice Theodore, you don't know that. You don't know that. But if you say it and you expect that to happen, then you're God. They have to do it if you say that's what they're going to do.
Islam.
Now, I'm not telling y'all anything I don't know. We've been through this, and we're going to keep going through it. We're going to keep going through this language and talking about these things, because it's important that we know what's going on this landmass in terms of property and jurisdiction. And these corpses talking to other corpses, but we keep answering. Stop answering when they rebut. A rebuttal and an answer is two different things. A sovereign Article 3 rebuttal is a different thing. We are in the testing period right now, Morris. You all are not the only ones. It's citizens going through that who don't have any answers, no remedies, no court, no nothing. You all have remedies right there available. It's the language. Okay? You have to clear up your language, because language is jurisdictional.
Islam.
Okay?
I yield.
Islam.
Now, hold on, Justice Frank, just one moment. The other brother was about to say something. Justice Maury, just a moment. Justice Maury.
Islam. I went to Office Depot and made me sovereign property sign, and all red lowercase with a white background, get it laminated. And through the grapevine in my territory, they said it was too much red tape to come on to the property. So, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
just a little 411. I yield.
There you have it. There you have it. There you have it. He said that he made a sign, a private property sign in red and all lowercase letters.
No, it was a sovereign property sign.
Sovereign property sign, not private property. I'm sorry, and that's actually that's the better term, actually. Sovereign property sign in red and all lowercase letters, and he was told that it was too much red tape to come onto the property. Is that correct, Nobility? Did I say that correctly?
Indeed.
Islam. Listen, he knows who he is. And the language, see, he didn't say private property. He didn't say public property. He didn't put it in black ink. He didn't put a do not disturb or no trespassing in black ink. He put it in red and all lowercase letters. This is what we've been saying.
With a white background.
With a white back, come on now. Moors, listen. And then our language has to be the words that we say that come out of our mouth every day. We have to be actually being the sovereign in our language every day. I don't care if you're and I can't say I don't care. That's the wrong word too. While I'm correcting people on words, let me fix my own. It doesn't matter who you're speaking with. The language has to be jurisdictional language. And even when you're on the phone with other Moors and you're just, having casual conversation, it's best to use jurisdictional language so that you don't, so that it's not so easy to go back to programmed language, because we've been programmed, Moors. We have to deprogram ourselves and then reprogram ourselves to speak in our sovereign status. But if we're giving them permission and acting like they're talking to us, that's a problem. That's a problem, Moors. And if you know that that's what you're doing, Work on it, please. Work on it. Work on it. And if you come on this call, hold on for just a minute, Justice Frank. If you come on this call and you're using language that sounds like you don't know that they're not talking to you, I'm going to stop you and correct you. And I hope no one gets offended. I hope you don't, because it's out of love and care. I care about what happens to the Moors. We got to get our language right.
At this point, gold sharpen gold, because I don't like iron.
There it is. There it is. There it is, nobility. Islam. Listen, the land belongs to us. We know that already. We know the land belongs to us, don't we?
Okay. Islam, Sister Light, I just want to add to what you pick back on what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I sent Theodore, I sent Gilmore, I sent Alessandra, and I sent you. You remember what Lamont Maurice Ill, and that's exactly what you're saying. Right. You remember, I hope you looked at it. They're saying exactly what you're saying. Lamont, we tried to read and Lamont, they did last week. They were saying exactly what you're saying, what you got to do. They're saying that, you like we were saying about, you got to be that, because the trickery that they use. I think I sent this on you, and you sent me a message saying thanking me for sending you the video. You don't remember? I sent it to Theodore, though. I sent it to Gilmore, I sent it to Alexandra, I sent it to you.
Okay.
You response saying thank you.
I will say this, and I probably had already seen it. I probably already watched it.
He agreed with what you're saying, the exact thing. Like, what you're saying is the same thing he was saying. Lamont, okay, all right, Islam. We're trying to read and so on. Right.
Well, you know, and this is to all the Moors, the things that we're saying are congruent with one another. We're all saying the same thing. All of us, we're all saying the same thing. And again, it's always been about our language, because our intention is sent forth by our language, by what we use, our words, okay? There's a little bit of background noise coming from a couple of the lines. If you would go ahead and start this, unless you have questions, comments, wisdom, etc. But I'll say this more. Our intention is in our language. Our jurisdiction is in our language. Our culture is in our language. Our rights are contained within our holy breath. Okay? It's not called holy breath for nothing. We must deprogram from that corporate language and reprogram to our sovereign jurisdictional language. Juris, right, law. Diction, word. Stop giving those corporates permission to do stuff. Because, see, if it's one thing I've seen that I really, if I could just wave a magic wand, I'd make it all go away, is Moors who put proper documentation on the public record, but then their words, they turn right around and give those corporates permission to do whatever. If I could wave a magic wand and just, fix all of that language, I would do it, but I can't. We just have to talk about it and keep working on it and keep working on it. That's what we have to do. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that. So we're sending sovereign, peaceful, jurisdictional language and jurisdictional energy to all the Moors who are being tested right now. Because many Moors are, and the citizens are too. The citizens are being tested so that they can wake up and be who they really are too. And then there are other Moors who are fast asleep, thinking they're black, thinking that those fake courts have all authority over them. They're being shaken awake by these same things happening with them, and they have to wake up too and say, well, wait a minute, I'm the government, I'm the law, and we don't consent, and we rebut all of that because we're the government, and we'll lean them and put them out, because that's not It's not their land. And if they're sitting someplace pretending to govern, when they're not really the government, they don't need to be there. Okay? So, are there any other questions or comments, etc.? Please, we have to work on our language, and maybe the ancestors will give us some type of a practice session that we can have or something to you know. Yes,
a brief note to go with that sovereign property is up-to-date mantra. And I went to Office Depot and get it laminated so that way it have long durability. You know, it won't be messed up with the rain and things of that nature. But the mantra laminated on your doors, and the sovereign property and your cherry tree should seal the deal with a fortress around your domicile. You
know what? That's what red tape is, nobility. Red tape stops all of that bureaucracy, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Red tape. I'm telling you, that's what red tape is.
Like lamb's blood.
Yes, it's the blood on the doorpost, nobility. That's what that is. That is exactly what that is. So that's a death angel. And death, it ain't nothing but capitalism, Morris, just so you know. Whenever they capitalize, and we accept their capitalization, we've accepted commercial death, even though that's not our status. So don't accept it. Do everything in red and all lowercase letters. And then the language. Work on it every day, all day. No matter how comfortable you feel, just practice speaking sovereign language and knowing that they are not talking to you, they are talking to a court.
Yes, okay?
They're not talking to you. Eviction notices, and let me put this on the public record out there for everyone to know, and we'll keep saying it if we have to. I don't care. I don't care how many times we have to say it. We're going to keep saying it. Eviction notices, mortgages, and all of that stuff is all corporate court stuff. Okay? Lien those corporations. And then when you lien Bob, the CEO of ABC Mortgage Company, or Bob, the CEO of ABC Landlord Company, when you lien them, then Bob goes into subject status. And what happens with Bob? Then Bob follows the Constitution. And when he sees the blood on the doorpost, he won't attempt to put commercial stuff all over you. Okay? We have got to get that right, Moors, and know that those black names are not us unless it's issued by us. And when it's issued by us, that means we've liened that thing they issued and sent it to Guantanamo Bay. And now you're the fiduciary of anything that has to do. And with fiduciary responsibility, that's where the delarium comes in at. We're the fiduciary even over our subjects. So the subjects who were previously acting in court status because they didn't have a choice, their master had gone into citizen court status. So they followed us into court status. So now the subjects, now that we're alive, and we said we're alive, we've been alive the whole time. We just need to state it on the public record. And we're the sovereign, okay? There's a little bit of feedback coming from one or two of the lines. A little bit of feedback. Okay. And so the corpses, once we lien them by court action, then Bob becomes a subject of the Moors, and he's going to follow the Constitution and do exactly as commanded. Okay? That is what this is all about, Moors. That's what this is all about. And listen, the corpses are going to keep doing that stuff that they've been doing until we stop them. And each Moor must stop them for himself and herself. Stop them for yourself. We've put it out on the public record. We've shown you the stoppage and what stopping looks like. We put it out there. Okay, we got to keep doing it, because guess what? We're not going anywhere. We're on this land. We're gonna be here.
It's not just like
They're the ones that gotta go. Okay.
All right.
Hold on, Justice Frank. Hold on for a minute, Justice. Yeah. Hold on for a minute, Justice Frank, because I want to give anyone else who wants to speak an opportunity to say something too. Okay.
Islam.
Is there anyone else who has a question or comment that would like to put something on the public record as well?
Islam.
Islam, nobility.
Jade Michael, Illinois Territory.
Yes, Islam.
Islam. I recently added delirium to the lien because I had been mailing things out and hadn't been using the delirium. When you send the delirium to them to pay for, or for lack of a better word, the sovereign exchange, where do they send it? We send them the delirium to pay the debt or whatever we're doing with it.
Okay, let me help you with the language there. We send them delirium because we've leaned the corporate status off of them, and that then makes them not Bob the CEO or Bob the Attorney General. It makes Bob a custodian of that office, a custodian of the office. We're in the office. They're the custodians. And custodians know what to do with delirium and gold back money. What they do is they follow the Constitution with regard to any commands that have been given them according to their job, whatever their job is. What is the job? We have to be competent to know their job, you know. And when we know their job, we know what kind of commands to give them.
Okay, I recently sent to the Secretary of State, because you had suggested that we send them, you know.
Sent to who?
Delirium to the Secretary of State.
Who's the Secretary of State?
Jesse White in Illinois.
No, it's actually you.
Well, I know that's true, but if I send it to him,
He's a custodian.
He's a custodian.
He's an administrative clerk.
What does he do with it? Does he pay a debt?
Why send it if you don't know what he's going to do with it?
That's what I'm trying to. I'm just getting used to still sending them anything. So initially I didn't. Yeah.
Okay, so what did you tell him to do?
I didn't really know what to tell him to do with it. We're leaning him. I'm leaning him. So we're leaning him for 100 million with the lien.
Okay, you're leaning the corporate, the all caps. Okay, so let's parse that out. I'm so glad you did the demonstration, nobility, because it's necessary.
Well, I'm up to it, you know. Always demonstrate at the level of your overstanding. Now, let me say this about that. Initially, let's just say his name was Bob Jones, and he was doing business as Secretary of State. Well, what was his job then? Secretary of State was claiming all abandoned property, right? Yeah, that's what I meant.
He was claiming all conveyances. He took all and all they did was create bottomry instruments, claiming things. Okay, those are not even the real instruments. The real instruments come from the Moors. That's why you sent that to him. Okay, letting him know that he is not the Secretary of State. You are the Secretary for Sovereign State, and that anything that has to do with conveyances, and this to get more specific about that, if you're going to send them anything like that, let's just say the ones that were previously doing business with Secretary of State, this is what I suggest. Send them, lean the corporate, because they don't have any authority.
You're the Secretary for Sovereign State. And then send them the all of the right to travel information that you have, so that and anything about your conveyance. That way, if there's anything going on where some fakes are trying to pull you over or whatever, you've already given proper notice. But see, the fake policy enforcers are in his line of duty. Okay? So when they are talking about taking conveyances and carrying on, that is part of the proper notification process. So that's why you would do that. And then you would give him the resources he needs in order to do as commanded with all Moors, not just you, with all Moors.
Well, what I'm saying is I'm talking about him being the custodian over all abandoned properties, right? Because we need to get some facilities. We need to have a allodial claim on buildings and whatnot. So I sent the delirium.
And who is we?
The
Just
Moors.
out of curiosity.
The Moors.
Okay, let's be more specific with that. We is the Empire State of Morocco, because the only reason that he was claiming anything is because he was pretending to be the state. He's not the state. You are. We are. So the Empire State of Morocco is who makes the claim.
Okay, well,
not just the Moors. It's the Empire State of Morocco by way of government. Okay? That's how property and all of that is gained.
But that's why I sent him the delirium to cover that, or is that what we're doing?
That is what you're doing. That's what you're doing. But again, I can't tell you that that's what you're doing. You have to know that that's what you're doing.
Well, that's why.
You can't just do it because, see, we can't tell sovereigns what to do, but we do make suggestions and then show you our demonstrations, and we talk about why. We give 1, 2, 3 about why we do it that way. Okay?
Well,
why we do it that way is because he's not the Secretary of State, because they're not a state. They're not a state. We are the state.
But we do send them the delirium, right? I mean, why do we send them?
Oh, absolutely. You did the right demonstration. I just wanted to know if you knew why. The demonstration was absolutely correct.
I'm trying to understand, what does he do with the delirium that I send them? Do they send it back to us? Or I don't understand.
What does the Constitution tell him to do with it? What does the Constitution tell him to do with gold-backed money? What does it tell him?
Can I come in a little bit?
Anyone who wants to answer that question can answer it.
Let me answer
If I see y'all smiling, I see you smiling.
Because, first of all, remember, I sent Jim Moore, I sent Alexander. You got to be there. Stop
okay,
it.
Hold on, Justice Frank. Hold on a minute. Because we want to make sure we get the answer to that question. Okay?
One, two. Remember QWARITO. They told you.
Okay.
And you stop playing and be that. Stop thinking that somebody will give you a magic wand. You can't be part of this stuff.
Okay.
You know, you have
All right, Justice Frank. All right. Okay, Justice Frank. Now, hold on a minute. Hold on. Let me get some order in the meeting. Hold on. Hold on. Because that question seemed like it brought some energy up, okay? The question is, what does the Constitution say for anyone to do with gold coin?
What's the Constitution?
It says to pay debts with it.
Okay. Do the Moors have any debt?
No.
No, we do not. Ooh, y'all, listen, you guys are good. You good. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Now, if the Moors don't have any debt, but they have all the resources, then that just leaves the subject.
So we the creditor.
And Now listen carefully to what I'm about to say, because I want to make this real clear about the subjects and the difference between a subject who's acting in subject status and a subject, or actually not acting, a subject who's being a subject versus a subject who's acting in corporate status. In corporate status, they're trying to pass debt off on the Moors because they don't want to pay it, okay? And what we're saying is corporations, go to jail. You're a debtor, go to jail, and take your debt with you. And then what are we saying? We're saying, subject, you don't have any debt because you're a subject of the Moors. No. That's why they love being subjects of the Moors, because they don't have any debt. Remember, they're saying, and this is being stated all over, okay, they're saying out of their own mouths that, oh, you won't own anything and you'll be happy. Well, what do you need to own anything for? The Moors got all of that taken care of. We got all of that taken care of. The subjects don't have debt, but the debt then becomes theirs if they decide to act in corporate status. And off to debtor's jail they go. That's what evictions and things are, is corporations trying to use subjects to push their debt onto the Moors. That's all an eviction is. It's not even lawful.
Title 12, Section 95A, USC.
That's one of them. The Constitution also, Article 1, Section 10. Uh-oh, I knocked my flag down. Here, let me get my flag out of the way. Just 1 second, y'all. Let me get my flag straight. Just 1 second. Because I can't have my flag on the floor. Article 1, Section 10. Somebody read that of the Constitution. Article 1, Section 10.
Money, gold, and silver coins. I know that. Article 1.
Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution.
I ain't got to read it. I know it. Article 1, Section 10. Gold and money is gold and silver coins. I ain't got to read it. I just knew it.
Okay. Go ahead. Someone who has the Article 1, Section 10, please read that. Someone who has the Constitution out. More. Go ahead, nobility.
Give me 1 minute. Here it is. On one of my documents. It says, this is what I got. Per the United States Constitution, 1789 and 1791, Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 states that no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederate, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debt, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or a law impairing the obligation of contract, or grant any type of nobility.
There it is. That's enough right there. You can stop right there, nobility. So the answer to the question, Justice Jade, is they are to pay any debt with it, because again, the debt doesn't belong to the Moors, but we need to free up our subjects because a corporation had taken over and possessed them. So we need to make it so that they're not possessed by a corporation anymore. They belong to the Moors.
Okay.
So that's what they do with it.
I still say Article USC Article 12, 95A Section 2. It said that the debt don't belong to us; it belongs to the United States. Let me see.
Right. That is it. That is truth. That is also affirmation of what we've been saying also. So again, the debt belongs to the subject. First, it belongs to the corporation, right? Okay, but we need the subject to the job of the subject is to ensure that what we give them goes to the right places. That's what the Secretary of State was. That was their. That is our job. We are the secretaries for sovereign states. But the custodians, all we do is we give them delarium, and they send out the proper notification that this has been taken care of, and this has been taken care of, and here's the documentation, and here's the real money to take care of that. Where abandoned property, quote unquote, is concerned. Okay?
Where do they?
Now, Justice J. Michael, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
No, I was just wondering, where do they send it? Somebody asked me that question, and I couldn't answer it. They said, when you send them the delarium to free up the debt, do they send it to the Moors, or where do they? When you send them the
They put it in a treasury. Okay. They put it in a treasury as an accounting instrument, okay? So they put it on the book. Treasury is not the right word. Accounting ledger is the right word. That's what they do. And they balance the book. Because again, remember, Justice J, they are administrative clerks. That's all.
Empress, what they actually do with it, they pledge it. They turn around and they send it to what is it? PO Department of Fiscal Services. For them.
It's a credit. Okay,
yeah.
It's a
they'll
credit
hypothecate
for them.
They'll turn around and hypothecate that.
No, they won't hypothecate it. They can't hypothecate it because their market doesn't take it if it's not capitalized.
I see what you're saying.
It's not capitalized. You see what I'm saying?
But they won't turn away.
Their market cannot accept it if it's not in the proper format. That's why they issue forms for everything. That's why they try to keep you informed, because they can only do things within those boundaries. If you don't issue something in those that fits their boundary, they can't hypothecate it. And again, corporations can't hold gold, or they'd have done it by now. Corporations cannot hold or own gold. Period.
Oh, okay, right. I have a question.
So no, they can't hypothecate it.
But if you
they could, listen. Wait. Well, let me just say this: if they could hypothecate it, they'd be the heirs. They would have been got rid of us. What they need us for if they can hypothecate the gold? But even while we were asleep, they needed our autograph to keep doing stuff. Because they're not the heir. We are. But go ahead, nobility.
Okay.
Empress,
hold
I know
on
there
one
was
second. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, nobility.
Are you talking to me?
Go ahead, nobility.
Okay.
I'm talking to the brother with the. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. That brother. Justice Sharif, go ahead.
Yes. This one thing. My question to you: I've always heard that there was debt when these people came to this land. They brought a debt with them. However, my question to you is this: how does that debt get created? Is it created from using their fiat? How did that debt initially get created? what creates a national debt? I mean, how do they keep creating the national debt? Is that from ill spending, or is that an overlap from when the people came here? I'm just curious.
No. Let me tell you how the debt was created. Let me tell you how it was created. We signed contracts. That's how the debt was created. We signed contracts, and they just kept creating bottom-read instruments. Remember, that's what we keep talking about. That's why we terminate all corporate contracts, because they keep creating debt and derivatives of debt repeatedly, because they keep getting the Lord's consent.
Okay.
They keep getting our consent. We have to stop consenting. That's where the debt came from. And again, it's not our debt. It belongs to that corporate system. But because we kept signing, they had to do what we told them. Fake court,
Okay.
fake mortgages, fake eviction notices, anything corporate. When we signed, they said, okay, we got the Morris consent, let's get cracking with some debt. Let's make some debt happen here.
There's a lot more. I'm going to Islam. Sister, like, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Justice Sharif. Did that answer your question about where the debt came from?
Partially, yes. I don't fully quite understand it, but that gave me a little bit more insight than what I. Okay, thank you. Islam.
Yeah. Yeah, stop signing things. We have to stop signing things and stop contracting with them, because that's where the debt is coming from. Because believe it or not, the citizens don't have any, that is not a value right there. It's the heirs that they were going for. The heirs are the only ones who have the authority to authorize anything like that.
Empress Light.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, there was another brother who was, let me see, I believe it was Justice, let me see. Go ahead, Empress, I believe it's Empress Chatali.
Yes, yes. Islam.
Yes, go ahead, Empress.
And so I'm overstanding that that's why they call it the national debt, because we keep signing.
And again, it's not our debt. It belongs to the corporation.
That's not. But they're putting it on us because we keep signing.
Duh, yeah. And that's why we keep emphasizing that termination of corporate contracts, because if not, they're going to keep trying to push that debt and push it onto the Moors.
Yes. It's
right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's why we're doing the things we're doing. That's why we're leaning. That's why we're using our Article 3 court, because their courts is where all of that stuff started at. Fake court. And then now I'll say this too about the debt. In 1933, between 1913 and 1933, they were saying this is what was going on in the documentation, in the House resolutions and things. They were saying, what are we going to do now that the Moors are not printing their own money? That's what was going on in the documents, in the paperwork, in House Resolution 192. They were saying there's no money, et cetera, so the Moors can discharge debt. The only way to discharge debt lawfully, simply, number one, because the debt is not ours, they were trying to figure out how to get themselves out of debt, because the Moors we stopped printing our own money. So then they said, well, if the Moors are not going to print their own money and discharge this debt, we're going to have to try and put it on them somehow. Because they don't have no way to pay. The courts don't have no way to pay. So they looking again at the creditors, saying, I don't care if you don't know if you're a creditor or not, but we're going to try and push that on you. So what are we doing now? We're printing our own money, and we're telling them, okay, subjects, you're not a corp anymore. You're not a corporation anymore. You're a subject. Now, go take care of that. Here, this is what you need to take care of it.
Yes, ma'am.
And when they do that, that's all of the other subjects that are in a line in their line of activity, such as policy enforcers and all of that, they cease to be policy enforcers and they become subjects of the Moors and obeyers of the Constitution. Because guess what? The debt is not fair. Because the Moors are doing what they should have been doing. We should have been doing this all along. Printing our own delarium and making sure that the subjects, you know, do what their custodial duties say to do, for them to do. Islam, go ahead, nobility. I believe, Empress Shatala, were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that every time we did something incompetently, they slapped it back saying, no, this can't help us. We need to get out of this mess. You got to come with something confident because we can't use it. So now we got something we can use that can help them. And so they can agree to that and get out of the mess that they long knew that they were in before we woke up.
Yes. They got all the other nations of the earth looking at them like, look, y'all gonna have to do something about this debt. Y'all gonna have to do something about this debt. So, you know, and in the past, Moors have been, you know, I honor the work that Moors have been doing about trying to claim properties and things like that. But we got to put a proper exchange on the public record and put proper notification out there and all of that. And then we got to know that we're not a corpse so that when they start speaking to corpses, we send some real paperwork, some real affidavits, and some real delarium and tell them to go somewhere with all of that debt now and get it fixed. And they know what that is. They know what that is. They know we're the only ones who can do it. Because everything that the United States Corporation Company brought into their corporation was done on a debt basis. Everybody that they got things from, they borrowed it, saying the Moors need this, the Moors need that, the Moors need the other. And the people are like, well, when are the Moors going to wake up and start dealing with this debt? And stop being Negro, Black, colored, and African American, and start printing some money and become the state, and not become the state, just declare that they still are the state, because we've been the state the whole time. But we've been the government the whole time. Statehood is the conveyance method by which property is gained, and conveyances are gained, and all of these things are gained. The state is who claims and owns everything. That's what a Secretary of State thinking he was doing. Claiming all property, including the people who thought they were property.
Piggyback.
And using policy enforcers to do that.
Piggyback, Sister Light, piggyback. Same thing you said. Do you know that the only person on the planet Earth can use gold and silver is only the Moors? You can't do nothing with it, no way. They need a banana, but they can't use gold and silver, no way. So here's the thing.
The subjects can use what we tell them to use. That's why they're called subjects. They can use what we tell them to use. But we must give it to them competently and give them commands. And it has to be competent. It has to be competent. Cannot be incompetent. It has to be. And the thing is, they know our science very well. So they know competent stuff when they see it, period. And, you know, it's by way of fiduciary duties, because see, when we do that fiduciary document and send delarium out, all we're saying is we have the fiduciary duty to make sure that the subjects are taken care of and that the debt is taken care of so that our estate is governed properly. That's all. That's all we're saying. Not our debt, It belongs to corpses and corporations. Believe it or not, we're the ones who gave that black corporation the authority to do nothing, you know, to pretend to be something they weren't.
That's why you get
we kept fighting.
And that's why you get it. Right. That's why you get it to the lottery. You got to give it to them because they ain't got nothing to give.
They don't have anything else. They don't have anything else. They don't have access to anything else. Period.
Islam question.
They're knee deep in debt.
Islam.
Yes, Empress Light. So therefore, these people that are selling, these subjects, people that are selling gold and silver out here in the market, they have permission to do that.
Yes, because Moors are the main ones that's giving them permission to do it.
I get ready to say that. Moors give them permission. Give them license too. License to drive a car and everything.
How many Moors have you seen? How many Moors have you seen pushing gold and silver that they bought from, you know, from these other places? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. But I am saying the Moors are giving permission, because you see Moors selling gold and silver, and, you know, they can't do anything without our permission. That's what I know. They can't.
Okay.
Period. So whenever you're doing something, just start looking around for who gave them permission to do it, and you will find a face that looks just like yours.
The Moors, we're so super bad.
Yes. Yes. The Moors. We're so sovereign and don't even know it sometimes. And that's why I'm saying the Moors that are facing evictions know that they have to do what you say. But you got to also know that you're not their corpse. Corpses and debt is the same thing. Period. We are a living sovereign state and government and nation. We're the law, we're the sovereigns, and we've been here since time immemorial.
And we're all one.
And we are absolutely one.
That's hard.
That none of that will change. None of that will change. That's going to stay the same. Because the Savior is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
That's hard, Empress.
Period. Islam.
That's not an easy thing to accomplish.
You know what? If anybody can, look, if being an heir was easy, anybody could do it.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to be arrogant or anything, but yes, we will be tested. We will be tested, and all we got to do is stand.
Yes.
And keep standing.
Yes.
The way I like to look at it, I'm going to say the way I like to look at it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Nobility. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead. We
I've
listening to
been
you. Go
saying
ahead.
the way I like to look at it is many were called, but they fell short.
You know what? Here's what I say. And you know, every Moor is going to have to stand under their own vine and fig tree. All of us. And so we might as well just go ahead and get used to being together and get used to doing this work and doing these demonstrations. And if a demonstration happens and it doesn't turn out the way you want it, keep going, because we keep going. We don't have a choice.
You're right. Well, we need
it's our land.
We need each other.
It's our land.
You're right.
Yes, we need each other. We need each other, and we're going to keep being together. This is our land. We're not going anywhere. So yeah, we're you know, Moors are being tested. Okay, it's okay. We're being tested, but you know what? The reason we're being tested is because our ancestors know that if anybody can pass the test, it's the Moors.
It's a wrap.
And no one else has the bloodline, the birthright, the boldness, the competence, the knowledge, and the authority to pass a test like the Moors do. Period. The whole earth is looking because they know that if anybody can do it, the Moors can. Period. Period. Islam, Empress.
there is a document that I came across that helped me break that yoke, because the yoke has been broken before, where I was confident in who I was, but then it just jumped back on me again. So, but I recently found a document. It's from the Illinois state government website, and it's a proclamation to the Moors, and it declares the Moorish American Week. But in that document, it says it's a one-page document, short and sweet, and just bam, to the point. And it talks about how we got here, how the land is ours from Canada south and on down to the South America and the islands and beyond. And then it talks about how we were a divine, theocratic government. And that theocratic and divine is two different things. Divine, yes, we are God, but theocratic says that we govern our land according to the God Almighty. That's how we was running this. That's how we was running this earth. And so when I saw that document, a proclamation from the state of Illinois website, that was like, man, that broke my yoke again. Where I said, if that don't say it, nothing will. It said who we were, where we came from the pharaohs. It said it all the way down to how we was running this land. We ran this land by Allah. Theocratic.
Wow.
And so, and we fell away from that, but it says it in that documentation that that's how we do things. And that's who we are. And so from there on, now I'm just on fire. I'm on fire again. Man, they in trouble, because now I'm really confident in who I am. They gonna have a problem with me, but because here's the thing about when we say that we are doing things peacefully, because Allah is peace, the sovereign laws of the land, and the divine heirs who follow it. When we enforce those laws, that's peace. And anybody who's coming against that, that's war. So we're at peace. We're in the right.
Yeah.
So anybody who's coming against that, they at war. This is not a war thing because we stand on our laws that give the sovereigns peace, they give the subjects peace, they give everybody around the globe peace because of the right standing. How we stand on our square and is rightly divided in truth. That's peace. And so anybody that's against that, they at war with us, because we try to show love and peace. And so with these documents and everything that I'm seeing that we are putting on the record, we showing peace. And so anybody who is opposed to that, they're at war with us. And so the ancestors got to deal with that, and they will, because we are right standing. I love it. I love it. I yield.
The proclamation that you were referring to, I put it on the screen.
Oh, you found it. Good. And it's supposed to be worldwide. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area right now, and I even seen it here, but right now I can't find it. I can't find it for nothing.
I got all of them.
Okay. All right. Well,
I have all of them. I have all the proclamations from all over. They did one in Tacoma here. They're all over and signed by those that were doing business as mayor and everything. But even on this document, if just look at the document on the screen, look at that autograph. Is it not in blue and capitis diminutio minimum? Yes, it is. And that's Rahm Emanuel right there. They know their status.
Yeah.
They know their status, and they know how they're supposed to write it. They know that already, Morris. So when they see documents coming in red and capitis diminutio minimum, they're going to know who it's coming from.
Beautiful.
So
I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Empress.
So what you're saying is, like, you got to know who you are. You got to know. You got to go to a confidence. And Because when I was doing my documents a couple of months ago, nothing went the way it was supposed to go. But when the ancestors teach us, they can't just say verbatim. They have to teach us through experience. And so that we can see where we left holes.
Yes.
And then
man knows not by being told.
Yes, yes. And so now I'm on fire. I'm on fire because I'm in line and I know who I am. I can't be stopped. They're in trouble. They're in trouble right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So they got to get in line with us because this is our land. This is our ancient land. We've been here forever. So they just got here. They need to understand that, and they need to yield. They got to yield.
Yes, they do.
I'm not going to yield. I'm not going to yield. I can't yield. So how do you
You know what? It's not even a matter of it. We're not even butting heads. They're in subject status, so they're doing what subject's doing, and we're moving in tandem, basically, like master and subject, magistrate and subject, chapter 29 of the Circle 7, magistrate and subject. That's why we do everything by court action. We moving right. They're moving along with us.
Yes. Yes, they are.
Forgive me, y'all. Mama got this.
That's it. For real, Justice Frank. That's real. Now, if you look at the document on the screen, this is what we've been saying about them. Is that when Rahm Emanuel signed this document on your screen in blue in capitis diminutio minima, he was saying, we know that we are doing admiralty. We're in the sea. Not lost at sea, but at sea. Now, the whole document would have been in blue if he did it today. Because we have stood up, we know to do it in red and all lowercase letters. We have declared statehood on the public record, and we have our own money. So they know to go ahead and just, okay, now we can put everything in blue. Okay? And he knows he's not the mayor. He's a custodian.
Please let me say this. Now, if you take you 20 miles out at sea, they have the right to kill you and get away with murder because you're lost at sea. That's true.
Well, that's why we do red, okay, and we don't go out there like that. Now, we can do blue if we wanted to do blue, but again, lost at sea, that part you're talking about is black, is dead ink. That's the dead ink part. But okay, just a minute, Frank. Just a minute, Frank. Just a minute. Okay, just a minute. The black ink, because I want to be clear, the black ink is what they use when you're lost at sea. That's their black ink, and that's why we lean that and send it to Guantanamo Bay. That way, it's not lost at sea; it's in prison where it's supposed to be. Okay, nobody is lost at sea out here. We're not lost at sea. We know exactly where we are. We're on our land. The land jurisdiction is written in red, and that's why the sea guys can't go past that. Especially, now listen, Morris, because see, I've seen Morris put documents in red and all lowercase letters, but they kept talking to them as if they were talking back, talking to a court, and they talked themselves right into some, an issue that they didn't want to be in. So again, let what comes out of your mouth match what's on the paper. You don't have to speak to them in any way other than reading the documents that you sent to them. And keep reading no matter what they say. And I guarantee you they cannot move on you. How do I know that? Because I've done it several times with groups and bunches of policy enforcers who couldn't, because they're not going to go beyond subject status. They're not going to do that. That I know. But you got to put them in subject, because see, when they first come, they're coming as a corpse looking for a corpse. And then when you speak life to them, then they switch spirit and possession automatically. And now you possess them, not a corporation. You possess them. They're your possession, your property, because they're subjects then. And I know some people don't like the sound of that, but the subjects love it because they know it's protection for them there. The Constitution and all of that. The Constitution kicks in when they're doing things in blue, in capitis, diminutio, minima. And when you go back and look at the rest of those proclamations, the majority of them knew to sign in blue.
Instead of being stateless, because they understand what stateless is, especially coming from the land that they came from before they took asylum with us here. So it has a powerful meaning to them to be stateless, and then to be subject to the Moors. They get it. They get it more than we get it, because we never been homeless. So we feel like, you know, what's your problem? They got problems. And they know it. And so we have to be sensitive to that and help them out in that, because they, you know, they feel some kind of way being stateless.
Yes,
so they need to be subject.
And they don't have to be.
Right.
We told them that when we woke up, we weren't going to let them be stateless. We told them that. And we keep our word. And they will do as commanded. Okay? Justice J. Michael, you were saying about, you know, what are they doing with it and all of that? We don't even worry about them usurping, because in order to usurp, that means you have to agree to be a corpse again. And they don't want to be that. And they're certainly not going to be that when their creator is standing in front of them, being the creator that we are. Period.
Islam.
Very powerful. We're very powerful. We're very powerful.
And I was listening
we just have to know it.
I was listening to a YouTube video about billionaires trying to dump the money because they have all assets and everything, and so then they have billions in the bank, and they want to take it out of the bank, but they don't know how to turn that into a tangible asset because they put so much. So now they got billions. So here's the thing. So when we use a delarium and we lien somebody and they say, well, okay, well, shoot, I could pay them in gold because I have billions. Let me go, buy some gold and pay my debt off, and, let me use my fiat and buy some gold and pay them off. They could do that. But
actually, they can't. Believe it or not, they can't. Yeah, they actually can't do that simply because gold is substance for substance, and that's why we had to create the delarium. Because the only way they would have been moving way more gold than they've been moved. Then they haven't been able to move much at all. Because and the only small amount they were able to move only existed on paper. When they talk about gold in the stock market and all of that, they're not talking about real gold. They're talking about gold on paper.
No wonder they haven't made that move.
You're talking about. If you'll notice, you've never seen any of them sitting in a room with a bunch of gold all around them and them talking about, I own all this gold. You've never seen that.
No, because they were talking about they don't know what to do with it. The fiat that they got, they don't know what to do.
No, they don't. And see, those ones that's doing businesses that were thinking they were billionaires with all that fiat in the bank, supposedly.
Only the Moors got the gold. We got the Constitution. We gave it to them.
They cannot use that fiat to buy things like land and stuff because the land has been, the Moors are back. The Moors are standing. So they can't pretend like they're buying a bunch of land and all of that. They can't do that, So now they don't have anything, supposed assets They don't have any assets that they can use because, again, our estate, they pretended to collateralize it. But they can't even pretend to do that now that we're standing and we have our own money. So now they're just left holding a bunch of debt. And no one wants debt, not even the other nations.
Nope. They don't want to be left holding the trick bag.
And that's exactly what they're holding, is the trick bag.
Sister, like previous explained, we got the gold. We are the gold. We please explain that. They really don't get it. You can't do nothing with it. Only Moors can use the gold. That's why they can't do nothing with it. They need a banana.
Yes. Yes. True. Only and thing. So we could go all day about the gold. They can't do anything with it. They can't do anything with it. It belongs to the Moors. Period. Because we're the gold first before any gold is gold. We're the wealth first before any wealth is wealth.
They really don't.
Yeah. Just hold on a minute, Justice Frank. Okay. Hold on just a minute. Hold on, both of you, please. Just a minute. So.
Okay.
I want to make sure that because we're now going into hour number 3, and I want to make sure that we don't go into hour number 3. So if there's any other Moors, we'll continue though. Moors, we will continue this conversation again on Wednesday and Thursday of this coming week. But we gotta please know, Moors, that they are not talking to you when they're sending their papers and all of this other kind of stuff, and it's signed with black ink and capital letters and all of that. They're not even talking to you. Okay, know that, please. That's important. With that being said, we'll take a pause here until Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern. We'll be right back here, and any more questions that you may have, we'll talk about them then. And if there's anything we can do in the interim, everyone has my phone number. So shoot me a text, send the email, send a text message or call, etc. I'm here. It's on
Grand Rising
and Grand Rising, the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, Islam.
Pass it to more. Peace and love. Just like a dream, standing by the water.
Grand Rising, Lord. I'm going to disconnect the call in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Peace.